Hello everyone, I'm Ruthless Wicked, and welcome back to another Star Wars Battlefront 2 video. In this video I wanted to address some of my own personal requests that DICE should add in Season 2, some of which are pretty obvious things, and some of which I feel the game definitely can benefit from, but I haven't really seen too many people on YouTube talking about. So without further ado, let's get to the first thing. And the first thing I wanted to talk about here is trooper balancing. I'll cover this more in a future video, taking an in-depth look at exactly what I want to see changed. But things like the blurg being too strong of a gun, and maybe some more health on the specialist come to mind. The game modes I mostly play are Blast and Strike anyway, and I'm maxed out on player level, even though that's not too much of an accomplishment by itself. But I do feel like I have a decent platform to stand on when talking about the base classes in the game, at least in terms of the smaller game modes. So the next thing I'd like to see in the game are private lobbies or a server browser. It's not a surprise when I say matchmaking in this game is somewhat of a disaster. Almost every time, at least when I try and find games with friends, we get put into an empty lobby or one that's pretty close to empty. Looking around a lot on Reddit, I definitely see a lot of people feel my pain on this issue as well, and this is something DICE should definitely fix in the nearest patch. I'm sure they've heard us, especially on Reddit, but if they want to eliminate that whole fiasco completely and take the next step, it would be good to add a server browser to the game. A server browser allows for servers to be created where players can actually see who is in their game and how many players are playing in that server. It would be a huge benefit for people looking to find games, since they wouldn't have to hope the game they're loading into has players. Even the last Battlefront from 2015 let you see who was in your game and how many people were there. I don't think it'd be as much of a problem by far if that same feature is implemented in this game, but the feeling of being blind as you're loading into a game to see how many people are even in the lobby is concerning. On top of that, private matches have been a request for quite a few creators on YouTube. Cinematic captures, Battlefront updates, and Star Wars HQ have all requested this for different reasons. Cinematic captures wants them for cinematics. Battlefront updates, as said before, it builds longevity to the game. And Star Wars HQ wants to host fan events with their community. Alongside those options, it also brings the option of having competitive Battlefront to the game. And there are a few communities that are ready to jump into that scene already, and private matches or even a server browser would really be needed for that to happen. So this sums up the things I don't see too many people talking about that I feel DICE should really consider adding to the game. And now for some of the more than likely, but I'll mention it anyway, things I'd like to see come to the game. So first, I'd like to see a new mode in the game. Call me in the minority, but I feel some Galactic Assault maps have been very disappointing in terms of map design. For example, Camino comes to mind, when the only way into the last room is through the two narrow, long hallways. That by itself doesn't seem too bad, but one, there's no flank route, so it's really just kind of spamming each side, especially with grenades, Wookiees, and heroes. You know, those all add together, and it's just a huge mess of spam, and the players have to maneuver through it. So that's my issue there, really, with Galactic Assault. Strike, on the other hand, just has terrible objectives, honestly. They're all just attack, defend game types. In the last Battlefront, we had Drop Zone, Cargo, even Droid Run, that were more of a sandbox / actually allow you to go around the map freely type game mode. Having some attack and defend is cool. I mean, that's fine by me. But DICE really needs to prioritize adding some more sandbox game types into Battlefront 2. Additionally, as small as the maps are, there is still a really annoying out of bounds zone. And that zone prohibits you from entering part of the map, even if your team is dominating. Can be really frustrating trying to stay in the action but not cross the line and try and get kills as well. That feeds more into the sandbox game type, as I mentioned earlier, but DICE definitely needs to add a mode like Cargo into the game. Conquest as well, as a lot of the communities requested. Obviously coming, but more maps. being added to the game would be extremely nice. Maps like Jabba's Garage from the last Battlefront or Raider Camp could be a really nice addition to bring old maps back, but also adding some new maps, some more open new maps would be great to see in the game as well. Finally, I'd like to see a new class. So in game modes like Galactic Assault, having another class to kind of get away from the spam would be really nice. Dennis hinted earlier in the year, actually probably a while ago now, that Droidicas, he hopes to see them in at some point. Well, I would assume Droidicas would probably end up coming with the Clone Wars season. Adding a new class to the game would be nice. We know they have classes to add because we've seen them in the files as well. And in my opinion, Season 2 needs to be really big to gain the attention of the rejuvenating community. I feel the changes I talked about in this video here would serve as a great guideline for DICE to follow, and I hope they take some of these ideas into consideration. Anyway, that's all for me for this video. Feel free to follow me on any of my social media platforms that will be listed in the description below. Thanks everyone for watching, and have a wonderful day.